In the news tonight, His Majesty the King inaugurates the King Abdullah II Faculty of Engineering at the Princess Sumaya University for Technology campus, where he is briefed on students' innovation and excellence. Violence in Syria leaves at least 15 people killed and more than 30 wounded in a suicide bomb attack at a bus station in a suburb west of Baghdad. And the Thames estuary outside London could be the venue of a £47 billion project for a 6-runway airport built on an artificial island with capacity for 170 million passengers a year. Good evening and welcome to a new edition of the news. Here are the details. A new Faculty of Engineering was inaugurated today at the Princess Sumaya University for Technology, PSUT. His Majesty the King unveiled the commemorative plaque at the faculty named the King Abdullah II School for Engineering that will offer bachelor's and master's degrees to meet national and regional market needs. Her Royal Highness Princess Sumaya, chairperson of PSUT board, briefed His Majesty on the university's milestones since it was inaugurated in 1991 with one sole subject, the IT faculty. PSUT today offers bachelor's degrees in 11 subjects and master's degrees in 6 specializations and is a leading institution to offer such disciplines as nuclear engineering, e-marketing, social media and cybersecurity. In remarks at the inauguration ceremony, Princess Sumaya said the PSUT seeks to help transform Jordan into an information-based economy by promoting and protecting the innovative ideas of Jordanians. President of PSUT, Isa Batarse, also addressed the ceremony, saying the future will focus on higher education and research and centers of excellence. At the ceremony, His Majesty viewed a video depicting the PSUT activities and achievements and was briefed on students' success stories, as well as the design of an unmanned helicopter and a video game featuring the innovative excellence of students. The Senate has an important role in supporting the development and modernization process of the kingdom, said His Majesty at a lunch banquet he hosted for the Senate President and members. His Majesty praised the Senate's role in addressing challenges facing Jordan through legislation that fulfill aspirations of the homeland and enhances people's confidence in the state's institution. The two houses of parliament, the King added, are an incubator of democracy and national dialogue and should be an example of best practices, including pluralism and institutional work based on interagency cooperation and integration. The King said the speech from the throne presented a clear and comprehensive roadmap for the desired reform process in the country. The Senate President and members pledged continued work towards democracy and reforms. Separately, King Abdullah received Norway's Foreign Minister Børge Brende and discussed with him bilateral ties as well as developments in the Middle East. The meeting dealt with efforts to achieve peace between the Palestinians and Israelis based on the two-state solution, the Arab Peace Initiative and international resolutions. On Syria, King Abdullah reiterated Jordan's firm support of a political solution involving all Syrians and one that safeguards the unity of people and country. His Majesty also spoke of the growing burden on Jordan resulting from hosting a growing number of Syrian refugees, now estimated at 600,000 Syrians. He urged the international community to share the responsibility of providing for Syrians fleeing the conflict at home by stepping up humanitarian and relief efforts. Brende, who was on a tour of the Middle East, said both Jordan and Norway should pursue efforts to bolster relations and enhance cooperation in various fields. Prime Minister Abdullah Mansour met at the Ministry of Political and Parliamentary Affairs with deputies and senators representing the 3 Badia regions. The meeting centered around Jordan's nuclear energy project and the development of the Badia region. Mansour briefed the meeting on Jordan's need for alternative energy resources, namely through a nuclear reactor for peaceful purposes. He said in view of a growing need for energy resources, the project will help Jordan become self-reliant. However, he assured the meeting that his goal is to consult and not to announce.
This meeting is for the purpose of consultation and not to announce any event, but rather to discuss a big project, the biggest in the kingdom's life, starting from now and over many years to come. That is, if it is decided to go forward with the project.
Separately, the Prime Minister received a Romanian delegation led by Prince Radu and Prince Nicolae. So discussed with the delegation ways of forging closer ties between Jordan and Romania, mainly in economic and trade fields. He briefed them on Jordan's reform process and also spoke of economic challenges facing the kingdom, due largely to successive waves of migration. Prince Radu said both sides must encourage the private sector to increase joint investment and cooperation as well as trade exchange. He commended Jordan's development process and praised efforts by His Majesty the King to bring about peace and stability in the region. The head of the Syrian National Coalition, Ahmed Jarba, said the Syrian opposition group is likely to attend the planned peace conference in Switzerland beginning next year. Earlier this month, SNC president said the opposition would not attend unless there was a clear time frame for Syrian President Bashar al-Assad to leave power and that it could not accept the presence of Iran. He urged Hezbollah fighters and members of Iran's Revolutionary Guards to withdraw from Syrian territory. Jarba spoke to journalists in Cairo after a meeting with the Arab League Secretary General.
The conditions set out in the vision are that, without doubt, Assad will have no role in the transitional stage. This is absolute. The other issue is that there is agreement between us and other countries to have safe passageways in the besieged areas in Syria.
In Tehran, meanwhile, Iran's Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif said his country is prepared to take part in the Syria peace talks in Geneva if invited. Resolving the Syria crisis is an issue of national importance for Iran, he said. He also pointed that Tehran's participation in the peace talks would likely strengthen any agreement reached in Geneva. Speaking to Iran's press TV, Zarif said Tehran believes the peace conference will play a pivotal role in ending the Syria crisis.
Now, participation of Iran in Geneva too is, in our view, an important contribution to a resolution of the problem. We have said all along that if Iran is invited, we will participate without any preconditions.
On the ground, meanwhile, 15 people were killed and more than 30 wounded in a suicide bomb attack at a bus station in a suburb west of Damascus. State television said all fatalities were civilians, but the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights said 6 of the dead were soldiers and that 2 children were also killed at the bus stop in Sumaria, a major hub for transport in and out of the capital. The observatory said the toll is likely to rise as many are critically wounded. Also in the capital, video footage uploaded onto social media websites showed shelling in the Damascus suburb of Jobar. China is building 20 airports a year, and the United Kingdom can't even manage on a new runway. Business leaders say they have had enough and are demanding Britain gets flying again. The Thames estuary just outside London is seen by some as the key to Britain's economic future, and within just 7 years, it could be transformed into a major new airport. Here's a story.
The site's been dubbed Boris Island after its main champion, London Mayor Boris Johnson. The £47 billion project would see a 6-runway airport built on an artificial island with capacity for 170 million passengers a year. The project's one of several suggested solutions to the problem of airport capacity in England's southeast. London's largest airport, Heathrow, is already full. The region's other main airports, Gatwick and Stansted, are expected to reach capacity by 2030. The calls to find more room are growing louder than ever.
If we want to have more jobs, which means more taxes, more hospitals, more schools, then we need to have more trade. And that means having more runway capacity. The two go together. Without them, the economy cannot get to its full capacity.
Studies predict Britain would lose up to £47 billion through lost trade if it doesn't expand London's airport capacity. Over 100 leading businesses have joined this campaign group, calling on the government to act.
As a retailer, tourism is a vital source of revenue for us and for many other businesses, big and small. And again, you know, airline capacity is vital if the UK is going to get its share of the tourism market.
This was the last full-length runway to be built in England's southeast. back in World War II. With China building 20 airports a year, Britain's fast falling behind. As well as the new estuary hub, other proposals include extra runways at Heathrow and Gatwick. But airport expansion is no easy task in Britain. Governments have been trying to find a solution for nearly 50 years.
It's a political hot potato, it's very difficult, it's the combination of the not in my backyard, and of course MPs have a responsibility to the voters that they want to draw out at the polls, and nobody wants that airport or that airport expansion. They don't want the supposed noise.
The current government set up a commission to solve the problem. A short list of sites will be presented next month. But with political implications still taking a front seat, a final decision won't be made until 2015, after the next election.
Music and fashion merged in New York City in celebration of the new film, Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom. The evening was hosted by rock band U2 and Vogue editor Anna Wintour and attended by some of the biggest names in fashion. Bono and his U2 band wrote a song for the film. The movie is largely based on Mandela's autobiography of the same title. It traces Mandela's life from his childhood through his imprisonment on Robben Island to his election as the country's first black president in 1994. Mandela, Long Walk to Freedom will be released in 3 days.
The more they oppress us, the harder we fight.
Freedom, it is an ideal for which I am prepared to die.
For the first time in 17 years and after more than 4 decades spent in a private collection, a Van Gogh painting will go under the hammer in Paris tomorrow. The oil painting, entitled Still Life with Bottles, Fireplace, Ornaments and Shell, is estimated between 500,000 and 600,000 euros. This is the first Van Gogh piece to go on the market in Paris since 1996. The painting dates between 1884 and 1885, a period during which the Dutch master developed his skills as a still life and portrait painter. It was bought by a Dutch collector in 1908. The auction also includes works by many other famed artists, including a monogram by Henri Matisse and a rare watercolor by Salvador Dali. In less than half an hour, Barcelona face Ajax at the Amsterdam Arena for their Champions League Group H match. Though the Spanish champions have already qualified for the last 16, coach Gerardo Martino is not taking Ajax lightly, especially that they are facing them on their own ground. Barca will be without Messi and forward Sanchez. Ajax on 4 points lie third behind Barca and need a home win to keep alive their chances of progress. The other 4 clubs that qualified are Manchester City, Bayern Munich and Atletico Madrid. Still in the Champions League, Real Madrid are preparing for their Group B match tomorrow at home to Galatasaray. They too will be playing without their leading player Cristiano Ronaldo, who is suffering a leg muscle strain after limping off during the La Liga at Almeria, and a scan confirmed he had damaged a hamstring. Real coach Carlo Ancelotti said the team has Di Maria and Jesse to replace Ronaldo in the starting lineup. If Real avoid defeat against Galatasaray, they will qualify for the last 16 in first place. And finally, it continues to be fair tonight in most regions with southwesterly moderate winds. A rise in temperature is expected tomorrow, creating warm conditions with partly cloudy skies and southwesterly moderate to brisk winds. The Gulf of Aqaba should expect relatively hot conditions tomorrow with southerly moderate to brisk winds and slightly choppy seas. Here now is a look at temperatures forecast for tonight and tomorrow. And to close, here's a reminder of the day's top stories. His Majesty the King inaugurates the King Abdullah II Faculty of Engineering at the Princess Sumaya University for Technology campus, where he is briefed on students' innovation and excellence. Violence in Syria leaves 15 people killed and more than 30 wounded in a suicide bomb attack at a bus station in a suburb west of Damascus. And the Thames estuary outside London could be the venue of a £47 billion project for a 6-runway airport built on an artificial island with capacity for 170 million passengers a year. And with this, we come to the end of this edition of the news. I'm Alia Tufan. Thank you for joining us and have a good night.